This is Carolyn Hester with John Broughton on Retrospectives on 3SER KC Radio. Happy 20th year, John.
To that land where joys will never end, I'll fly away. Oh,
Well, they weren't professional folk singers. It was just that they did love folk music and sang it a lot. And I had an aunt, my mother's youngest sister, was more or less what you'd say a semi-professional singer. She had moved from Texas to Washington, D.C., and had a job, like an office job with the government somewhere, in the Navy Department or something.
Yeah.
And then sometimes on weekends she would sing, actually for pay and stuff. And she and I would have long talks about being a professional musician and such. And she was one of the few who didn't discourage me from trying it. Most people say, a young lady is safer staying at home. I mean, that sounds like the dark ages, but, it was, that's the way it was. So I did have I was fortunate enough to have parents who encouraged me to go ahead with it. And so I left home at 18, and I set off for New York, and was actually looking for Pete Seeger.
Oh, right.
I knew early on who I wanted to emulate, who my hero was, and I think most young people do, And I heard Pete's recordings with the Weavers, and that's what I wanted to do. And I'd done a talent show at school, and a teacher at the school was called John F. Peeler Junior High School. It was in Dallas. This lady came up to me and said, well, you don't know me. I'm the PE teacher here. But she said, I heard your performance yesterday, and I've brought a recording in to loan you. Do you know this artist? And so she showed me, it was a Susan Reed record. I don't know if you know that name even. Well, Susan Reed was the first lady who I saw being a professional folk singer. And so that, along with the, Pete Seeger and Burl Ives and all that, made me want to try for it. And then when I got to New York, I found out about Harry Belafonte and the Kingston Trio, and so that was the era that I was starting out. And things moved very quickly. When I was 20, I got a recording contract with Choral Records, and so my first album came out when I was 21. And then my second one came out when I was 23, and then I came to Columbia when I was 24, and that was really what made a big impact on my career, was going to Columbia, and because they were really noticing that our kind of music was gathering large numbers of people in Greenwich Village, and Bob Dylan was a friend of mine and promised him that he could play harmonica on my album, because that was going to be my third album at Columbia, and my dad had played harmonica with me on my first album, so that's the main thing was that I wanted Bob playing harmonica. And then so he met John Hammond, and the rest is history. I mean, he stayed with Columbia all these years and went to rock and roll. But at any rate, what I wanted was to hear more folk music on the radio, so I'm very pleased to be speaking to you today. And know that this is what you love so much as well.
Leaving Texas and coming to New York at such a young age must have been a big step for you. Do you remember being particularly in awe of the prospect at the time?
I really was, and it was kind of frightening. I mean, such a large city, and I didn't know my way around, and I didn't know anyone there. I enrolled in an acting school that my mother demanded that just so she'd know where I was part of the day. But at any rate, then I found voice teachers and guitar teachers and all the rest of it, and just was very lucky very early on. And I never would have dreamed that I was going to be a lifer, that I was going to have a lifetime career, and but it looks like my generation of folk singers, Judy Collins and Joan Baez and Bob and Tom Paxton, I'd like to say we're still standing, and I don't know where we get it from, but at any rate, we don't seem to be slowing down.
Oh, absolutely. Do you ever stop and ponder how your life may have turned out if you'd stayed with that acting school?
Oh, yes. I just, it wasn't really in my mind to do that as a career. I enjoyed a lot of the people I met in acting classes and some directors and people like that. They're very bright, and I did enjoy their company, but I felt so happy that folk singing was independent, that if you're going to be an actor, you need to have, a whole company of artists, and you have to have the theater and the lights and the costumer and the sets. And it just seemed like life would be so much fun just roaming about on my own. And I did get frightened at times, but the music was so strong in me. I mean, I was an insane person. I know. I just had to do the singing, and I had to go wherever that was going to take me.
Now, you mentioned Bob.
It hasn't taken me to Australia yet.
Oh, never say never.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm so pleased to find you, and it's the internet,
It's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Amazing.
Now, you mentioned Bob Dylan before, and it'd be difficult to talk to and not mention your association with him.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you have vivid memories of your first meeting with him and the recording session that you did together there?
Oh, yes, very nice, because he had been asking me about venues, where were some more jobs to be had, and so on, and so I just said, well, the next thing I'm doing is making a record for John Hammond at Columbia. Do you want to come play? And so he said, oh, yeah, just tell me where and when. And so we got together and had rehearsal for that. And then we had another get-together. John Hammond wanted to hear what was going on, because he was not only signing me to the label, but then he was here. I had a band, you see, and he had only seen me play by myself, so he wanted to hear who this band was and everything. And he helped me get one of the musicians. That was the bass player, Bill Lee. He said, "Oh, I know Bill Lee. He plays jazz as well." And so I said, "Well, I know him from his playing on Odetta records." I said, "I think he's fantastic, and I really like that." So he got Bill Lee, and now, after all this time, we find out that Bill Lee is the father of Spike Lee, the great filmmaker.
Oh, really?
The world is shrinking, isn't it? But I do have a lot of pleasant memories of that, and the day that John Hammond got together with the band and listened to us all, and so on. Right away, he liked Bob very much, and that was important to me, that he think what we did was good. And now when I look back and say, listen to it, that album has come out, been reissued on CD now, so. I really think that we were practically, what you'd say, we were practically swinging. I mean, for folk music, it was quite rhythmical, all of it, and I'm very happy that it's stood the test of time. Some of those songs, and where I go, people always want me to play "I'll Fly Away," the first song on that album. And
oh yeah,
Bob playing harmonica. And then in time, I saw less and less of Bob, of course, but then when he had his 30th anniversary tribute at Madison Square Garden, I did get invited and went and sang Boots of Spanish Leather, backed up Nancy Griffith on that, and just had a wonderful time. They had a great party, and they looked after all of us beautifully and picked me up at the airport with a limousine, and I didn't know how to act.
I was actually watching a video of that show last night. It must have been a wonderful feeling for you to be there.
Oh, absolutely amazing. And people gave Nancy and I a standing ovation. We were flabbergasted, and then that resulted in us getting on the video, but they didn't have room for us on the CD. Very
That's a shame.
sad.
Yeah.
Very sad, but at any rate, we were very delighted to be there, and so at any rate, that certainly got me even out on the road more. Now I've been to England a lot of times, and I've been to Germany recently for the first time. And then a lot of people are, I think, because of the millennium coming up, they're conscious of looking back, and one of the high spots for me, for sure, was the '60s, and it seems like for a lot of people now. I've been interviewed recently for 4 books, and
wow.
I think that shows, the power of those days and the power of some of the songs, and very, very, very strong personalities. I think that whole group.
Other performers that I've spoken to that were part of that folk scene in the early '60s have commented on a real sense of community that existed amongst the artists. Did you feel that too?
Yes, we were very helpful to each other, I think, and also we didn't mind telling each other our real thoughts about anything, about what each other was singing or writing or how they were dressing, or it was really funny. But I think we sensed the specialness of the moment, and the fact that we had all heard about the village scene and this kind of thing, because communication was not then what it is now. How things mushroom like instantaneously through internet or the media or whatever else. So it was a little unusual. We felt that we had to come together there for it seemed like the similar purpose, and we wanted to hear more of our music everywhere. So at any rate, I'm happy to say that Nancy Griffith has enjoyed the '60s and often tells me how much it has inspired her. And then her Other Voices, Other Rooms album kind of proved that, I think. And now she's done another Other Voices. It's going to be called Other Voices 2, TOO. And she has some of us back on this next Other Voices, and it'll come out in June. So I hope that you'll hear about that and get one of those. I think you'll get a kick out of what's on that. And then she's put a book together about making that album, and so that's a new experience for her. At any rate, it's very interesting now, because I feel like the singer-songwriters of this generation coming on now are. They don't have the advantage of there being like a folk boom like we had there.
Yeah.
It's a big push that happened. However, they're very seasoned performers. They're very wise. They've come through some hard times, and there's quite a number of them that I'm very enthusiastic about, and I feel like maybe a breakthrough is coming for them soon. So I'm just going to stick around for a while longer and see
we hope you do.
what happens with them. Yeah, and on Nancy's newest album, we do a song called Yarrington Town that where Nancy and I sing also with Emmylou Harris, and that was a great thrill. I love Emmylou Harris, and very pleased to get to do something with her. Well, I tell you what, that's what I hear, but honestly, I don't know if they may have been trying several combinations of people. I think they really probably did.
Right.
But I really don't know who else.
Did you audition as such?
The combination that Al Grossman had me with was Bob Gibson and Ray Boguslav, And Bob Gibson, you probably have his CDs. Ray, I don't know if you know him, but that was very different group from what than he ended up with eventually. And I didn't know how he met Peter Yarrow and old Stooky Paul.
Yeah.
I don't know how he met them. And then I think they knew Mary, so that's how that happened. So three totally different from our group. But at any rate, it shows Al Grossman's genius, because he knew the idea of what he was, going to try for, and the whole thing worked all the way down the line. So, and then he played a great part in Bob Dylan's career and Janis Joplin and others. So he was definitely important, and died too young. I thought that was a shame that we lost him. And there's still, many others from that scene who still go on. And I don't know what it is. I mean, it seemed like others of the generation were falling, and then the next generation of people, Janis Joplin, all of them, they had such drug problems. And I wouldn't say that we were Lily White. Never tried them. I definitely couldn't say that. But maybe it was the focus of our music.
Let's talk back your songwriting a bit. Was there a particular moment in time when you felt you really started to develop a confidence in your own writing?
Well, that's a good way to put it. It was honestly, it was from going to the Kerrville Folk Festival and discovering that festival was turning into a songwriters festival, and it's unique in that respect. And they started asking me to judge songwriting contests and so on, and I was really touched by people's efforts and their ability to write things and not be performers, but to have such a wonderful desire to communicate something brand new they had come up with, and test it out in front of us. And it was, the whole thing was just very emotional. And so I decided, well, look, I've got a trunk full of half-finished songs. Let me get in there and dig around, and let me go ahead and complete songs. It just seemed like a thing that I was driven to do then, really inspired by all the writers around me. And then I started having a series of dreams about Indians and so my first songs were written, I say for the first album, Music Medicine, was completing some songs I hadn't done. And the next album, Warriors of the Rainbow, was the first album that I wrote everything, except maybe one song, I believe I Have a Dream, my husband David wrote about Martin Luther King. At any rate, I haven't written tons of things since, because now with the sort of a widened career, I'm realizing that, well, hey, what I really want to do next is an album of all Tom Paxton songs, and things like this. Projects are appearing faster than I can assimilate them. But after that, I'll be back into the bringing forth the songs I've written. It had a big impact on me, though, because by starting to write my own songs, then that really meant getting them on a record and then traveling with them and really getting back out on the road. So in 1982, I went back on the road, having taken some time off, a sabbatical, as it were, to have my two daughters. And so in 1982, Nancy Griffith and I went out on the road, and it was her first time to go to some of the great folk clubs in the East Coast, to leave Texas and go north. And so we kept a mailing list from that trip, and she and I both used it to really widen our circle, our sphere. And this was before the internet, And so then she landed in Nashville and wrote songs for Kathy Mattea. and that got her on with the Everleys, and that really set her sail. She really took off from there. And then I got hooked up with a British label, and then in fact when Nancy did Other Voices, the first Other Voices album, she took me to England with her. Well, I had made 8 tours of England in the 60s, so I hooked up then with old friends, and that got me going. So now I've done 13 tours of England.
Wow.
so I really can't believe that I haven't been to see you yet, but it just makes me happy to hear your voice.
Oh, we'll do our best to get you down here. There's certainly a market down here for some wonderful folk music.
Well, just absolutely. I've had so many friends who've enjoyed being there,
Is there a particular type of record that you'd like to have a go at still?
The fact that I was, my first album I got in connection with Buddy Holly has always had me sing 1 or 2 Buddy Holly songs, and I think that the record label in England would like me to make a Buddy Holly album.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe maybe I'll get up my nerve and do that. I loved Buddy, and he would take me to the Brooklyn Paramount and let me see all those shows. The Crickets would play there, and that's where I saw the Everleys.
Yeah.
Just remarkable, and Chuck Berry and Fats Domino, just amazing shows. It's always been hard. I mean, I felt that Buddy was very much like a folk singer, and of course people would laugh at me for saying that, but I think in time it's kind of proved true, because his music has the longevity of roots music. I don't know if you would agree with that. But he really seemed to gather a lot of strength from the blues and such, And now I've seen, like for instance, the other night we got to see Bob Dylan in person at a concert. He did a series of concerts here at it's called the El Rey Theater in Los Angeles, and mostly the younger rock groups like Kula Shaker or somebody like that does concerts there. And there was Bob coming in, and he did 5 days, and Beck opened for him one night, and Sheryl Crow opened for him a few nights, and then Willie Nelson for him the last night. And what we were struck by was like how much we liked his new songs on this brand new album he has, but also the fact that he does so much country blues.
Yeah.
And see, that's going down that road. That's that roots thing, and it's very interesting. I'm very pleased that people think that I've come upon, not like the folkabilly stuff that say Nancy and I have done all along, and Tom Paxton, but that we're actually finding a voice that's still traditional but has the country overtones, and that's one of the things I like so much about Emmylou, for instance, and I love Iris DeMent. You have her CDs, I hope.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, that's great stuff. And Alison Krauss, and oh my gosh. Anyway, I'm still all excited about the music.
Sounds like you are too. That's terrific. Okay, just to wind up, Carolyn, what's on your books for 1998 so far?
Well, besides the Curville Festival, I'm going to be going to the Netherlands, and be going back to Germany and England, and where the record label from these hills is, the Road Goes On Forever Records, they're going to do a documentary, 2 CDs. They said 1 CD they want me to tape songs that have been important, in my career, and then they're going to interview me. John Tobler, the head of the label, who's also a fine writer, he'll interview me. So that'll be like a double CD, a little bit unusual. and I recently helped on a film that's being made for Bob Dylan. It's going to be a Bob Dylan documentary. It'll probably be a couple of years before we ever see it, but at any rate, they're taping a lot of the people who've known Bob and so on. So I was very pleased.
Oh, wonderful.
To do that, and then Nancy Griffith's album will be coming out this year, and then I'm hoping to make headway on my Tom Paxton project, and hey, we got a lot. Gotta go now.
Busy year. Let's hope you can squeeze an Australian visit in there somewhere too.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt. We're going to have a tour in Hawaii soon. I mean, had never been there. I've lived in L.A. half my life, and I have never been to Hawaii yet. Can you imagine? So there it is. Anyway, I'm so delighted to meet you, and thanks for playing these songs. They I think are very important, and I think they're important, like not only to America and this culture, but in in the English language, and certainly I love to do many of the songs that I've met on my tours of England, but I'm hoping that I will see you in Australia and learn some songs from you. I would just adore that very much. And listen, take care.
You too.
And hello to all your listeners, and thank you for this great honor. The show is really something I never imagined, and I hope to get a tape of it, and I appreciate this.
It's been a pleasure and a joy to speak to you, and to speak to someone who is still so bursting with enthusiasm for music after all these years.
Okay, take care of yourself.
You too, Carolyn. Hope to see you soon.
And let's keep emailing.
Will do.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.